Hi everyone, if you're listening, this is the JLL Flex for Thought series. It's a sub-series of the JLL Perspectives podcast. I'm your host, Tashi Dorjee, the head of Flex at JLL for Australasia, and really excited to bring you this series because we're going to be talking to a number of experts across a variety of disciplines, not just office. And we're going to unpack what the future of work in Flex looks like. So let's get started.
I get amazed actually, and it's clearly why Apple and Samsung are some of the biggest companies in the world, but I find it amazing that I've never had to teach either of my children how to use the phone.
Yeah, right.
Can just
So intuitive, right?
So intuitive, and it's probably more intuitive. It's probably harder for an older generation.
Yeah.
Like you're seeing younger generation just like they just understand it. Like you don't need to be taught.
Well, I mean, to kind of bring it into the whole office and the flex or whatever market, like some of the leaders over in the US and UK, they're already talking about the most seamless experiences where you don't even need to book stuff.
Yeah.
You know, it just happens.
Yeah.
Whatever that means. Like
Yeah.
they're on the forefront of that technology, but
yeah, I mean, I think, you know, which we've spoken about often, I think what we've got is different generations, like the decision makers are baby boomer age to Gen Z, is that right? Gen Z?
yeah, Gen Z.
Gen Z.
Yeah.
So they're the emerging decision maker.
Yeah.
And then you've got the middle sort of management there, Y.
Yeah.
And then obviously now the new...
What's the new one called? Is it Generation Beta?
I actually don't. I was actually trying to look up before I came in here because I get so confused by it all. But the point I'm trying to get to is you've got different generations that have come through and taught and understand. And we talk about the office or work or whatever you're doing.
Yeah.
And, you know, we all came through where you went to work. You went and sat in and that's what you did. You'd say, I'm going to work. And you wouldn't do anything outside of it until you got into the office, you plonk your bag down, you were officially at work.
That's actually, I probably have heard it, but you've only just made me realize it. Yeah, when you used to say I'm going to work, it's because you would only work.
That's
but
right.
Now it's when you, it's
Well,
like
well,
go
that's
to
what,
do a bunch
I
of
mean,
things.
obviously COVID, which then led to work from home, which is where we're sort of the struggles with a lot of building owners, well, business owners, which is now going on to building owners because, you know, I think building owners are going to have to, if they're not already. I know some are talking and are sort of thinking about it. Yeah. But they're going to have to take more responsibility about helping the business owners or the tenants within their building
100%
to make the space something that people want to go to.
Yeah, because if they don't,
and that's all about experience, really. It's about repositioning and recalibrating people's association with office and what the office is. And I know there's been a lot of work done into decor and trying to make it, but unfortunately, the decor is one bit. I think there's other key elements that they're sort of missing around the experience.
Yeah, it's definitely not a build it and they will come scenario.
No.
It's a double-sided marketplace, which is why I'm so interested to chat with you on this pod, because you focus on, whilst you appreciate the build it part, you really focus on the other marketplace, which is the people, the community, the interests, to the point where you don't just do the 10 easiest kind of experiences or events that everyone does. It's like you start delving into arts, music. Like, can we talk a bit about that? Like,
yeah. Firstly, I just want to point, I have a foot in both camps. As you know, I'm not a massive advocate for just flex and short term, but you know, I'm also believe, you know, there's long-term leasing, but it's horses for courses now. And I have a vested interest in both sides, but it was my experience through leasing and doing the long-term leasing and just seeing things change and people change. And obviously we saw the rise of, you know, the co-working groups, which sort of offered flex, which I still test that word because I don't think it's truly flexible to the point of what we have sort of been doing, which is literally their experience led space activations that could be, some of them might take they might be a 10-day sort of thing, but it's only all over 3 days.
Right.
Could be a month. Sometimes it's up to 3 months. This is companies doing, if they're doing some sort of a product launch, retail brands, if they're launching or they're wanting to, they might have high on online sales, but they still want to connect with their customers. So they might use it as a bit of an in-store experience. Focus may not be about selling. It's more about the touch and feel, allowing, and then you get the whole social media side of it. And I think what a lot of, in particularly sort of, fashion or sort of, those consumer-based brands know, where everyone wants to, people want to be able to document what they do. Social media is such a big thing. But what the brands get by allowing people to come in, you might have heard of it, there's almost this push for these micro influencers.
Yeah.
It's actually a very genuine marketing way.
Yeah, because they've got focused audience.
Well, you might come in, you have 200 or 300 followers, and you take a photo. Those 200 or 300 people are people that probably are connected to and probably will believe that you think it's a good thing.
Yeah, not the
person that has 50 or 100,000, and you sort of know that they're in there getting probably paid or getting something for it.
Yeah.
So so we started to we're sort of like to think we're sort of a facilitator in this revolution of the way that brands and companies want to connect with people through experience.
So if we've got a bunch of, I guess, tired or hibernating spaces in offices, whether it be the ground floor that they want activated or even on floor, there's a bunch of vacant floors that are just sitting there.
Yes.
It sounds like it's a great opportunity to leverage, the other side of the marketplace by putting experience there that has their own kind of communities and followings as well.
And getting back to what that original question, which was art and culture, how would that work? So I think that buildings or building owners or, whether it's a company that has, if they have an underutilized space, maybe they should consider bringing something a little bit different. I mean, imagine going, because if you go and connect with art and musicians, they tend to be they're looking for opportunities in space and things like that.
Yep.
So imagine if you went to an artist and said, look, we're going to give you this space, you set it up as a studio, but you need to allow people within the building to come down, and either you've got to lead some art classes or people got to be able to come down and paint. So I think in buildings there's been a lot around the sort of health and well-being. But I think that's also quite a personal thing. We all have our favourite gym that we go to. We've got our preferred Pilates instructors. But I think the art and culture side has been completely overlooked. I think if you go and look at a building, you'll probably find people in there that are, they may not be, that play music instruments.
Yep.
They either have a passion for art, they might be, or want to paint or learn, and I think it's a really great outlet. I think it would be something that would make people want to go if they knew that there was a space that they could go to in their lunchtime. You could even have company team building experiences around it.
Yeah, we just spoke with Charlotte Stratton from Lend-Lease, and she was saying one of the coolest quirky amenities she's seen in an asset in the US. They actually had soundproof music rooms, for tenants to come in and jam, because that.
Well, I'm glad that. Look, I mean, it's.
Do you play an instrument?
I don't. I played the drums at school, but see.
Well, there you go. Imagine if you could go down and just have a drum set.
Again, just remember,
revisit your kids.
You asked originally about kids. When you start off going to school, you are forced to do art, music. Then you start doing. Then as you get older, you go into geography, all these other things. And some people, the best time or the best experience, and maybe they wanted to be an artist, but they knew that they wouldn't be able to make it commercially. So they went down the route of being whatever else, lawyer, whatever their profession was. but you still have a passion.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to be the best to be passionate about something.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you don't have to be the best, because if you enjoy it, you'll be consistent. And I feel like
Imagine having your own little band in the building. It's not everyone from your own office. It's like someone from level 12.
I actually think, because it's such an honest, authentic demonstration of passion, that if, for example, there were a bunch of tenants that got together that created an office band in the building, there's a certain amount of loyalty to that band that if you host a concert, everyone will come down and watch.
This is what I'm like. You could go the next level where, you know, if they felt good enough, then they could go and you could set up and they could perform, and then you could invite everyone down. I mean, I think, you know, where I feel like a lot of, and I know there's been a lot done, and look, I don't claim to know everything. I know that there's probably more things happening than maybe than I know about, but just really trying to, I think these communities within buildings, I think need to be, and it's not just shouldn't be based around the, you know, who's in your own floor, in your own company. It should be really trying to get the people from other, like trying to really sort of get those people to connect. I think they're things that would make people choose to go to work and stay at home and work.
Yeah. And culture, connecting through like art and that kind of stuff, and culture, again, to abuse the word, is an authentic way to connect people. If it's to do with work or, you know, business development or networking, there's an element of fakeness attached to it, because you want something from that person. But if there's something happening in the building, and I agree to your point, the wellness point was a very good one. Like, it's just being flogged.
It has been flogged,
like,
you know?
To the point where I'm seeing like ice bars and infrared saunas, and which are all great. I'll use them. But what's next?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's capped out. And now it's going to be like a basic amenity that's required. Sure, you might have yoga classes, but not everyone wants to do that.
Yeah.
I would personally not use a gym or anything in the building. I'd go to my Fitness First or whatever, because I like the equipment. But it would be very interesting, even though I'm not a painter or a musician, if there was stuff like that there, I'd give it a whirl. It allows you to be a kid again to it.
Well, you know, we, you know, part of, with us, we've got a space which we share with an artist. And basically he's a friend who had his studio within his house.
Yep.
They had their second child, and he was like, that room that was the studio needs to go, you know, become the second child's bedroom. And he said, oh, you know, do you have a space? But he goes, the problem is I've got little to no budget. Anyway, we had a space which we were really struggling with. It was in a location which was not a typical office location. It wasn't a typical, it was sort of like this hybrid-y looking, it was almost like, wasn't an apartment, wasn't an office. Anyway, the building was to be knocked down. So I spoke to, and a lot of, some owners understand actually it's better to have some people within a space, because a lot can happen with a completely vacant space, and they can be hard to insure as well sometimes. So, you know, we did this deal, and he was able to come in on a peppercorn rent, but he turned this space into something which was, and it became almost a little bit of a showpiece. Even the developers started using it. They had meetings up there. Yeah,
right.
Had a very authentic.
And what did he do with it? He
just put his art pieces, but he put furniture. It was just, it felt, you use the word authentic, and I think that is the key word of where we're trying to get to with everything, is it just felt like you're in somebody's space. You could feel the presence of what he was doing. And, you know, we had some sessions up there, and with, you know, some staff, and he said, put up a canvas. He started a painting and said, everyone just get up and do a little bit. So you know, everyone did you just do a bit of a few lines here, or do bits paint. Then he would get up, and something that started from nothing collectively became a piece.
Oh, that's cool.
And at the end, there was something
like Mr. Squiggles.
He sort of pulled it together at the end, but what it was, like, you get back to the fact, like, oh, you said, oh, I don't paint, or I don't, you know, I would love to. If you go and bring these people that can, they help draw this out. So this is where a building owner could say, look, we're going to have this space. We're going to let an artist be in residence down there. They're going to get to use the space. They can set it up but what they have to give back is they've got to, help sort of when people come down, guide or have
So
sessions.
cool. So there's two things that I'm just going to draw on from some of the other conversations I've had on this series and another one. Oscar, who's one of the co-founders and owners of Young Henry's, he was talking about his own ethos around community building is to contribute to the community and not just take. So you got to give. So that's a perfect example of that. But then also, I spoke to a hotel expert, Gardy, who was talking all about the importance of creating a vibe and the soul of the space within a hotel.
Yes.
And that's really hard to do.
Yes.
It sounds like you're able to do that by this, by putting someone, an artist or someone of that there for their soul. They can create that within the space. It's almost like a bit of a hack to do that within a commercial property.
Absolutely. You're bringing, if you look at most residential areas that were, a little bit cheaper, lower income, often you'll find artists, people, because of the way that, they don't work on a wage, or when they're starting out, like you don't, you've got to build up your reputation, or you've got to build up a following. So a lot of these areas are sort of really, that are super cool, like your new towns.
Yeah.
Even Redfern. I mean, these were the houses, these were the creative, the people that were like sort of, there was these creative energies, and they just can come in and they can turn something which, if that's not if you don't have that within you, we can't do. And by bringing it in, it's almost like you're giving them an opportunity, which they're going to be grateful for. They validate that this is like, they say to everyone, because everyone goes, oh, it's so uncool. And they're like, this is great, this is so cool. And they start to change the narrative of what that space or what the building is. Different looking people start walking in, not everybody that's more corporate white collar, you start getting, and it will become very interesting.
Yeah.
And again, it would lead to people choosing to want to be there, as opposed to saying, oh, I don't, you know what, I'm just going to work from home. Like I can't.
But then it's feeding into blending work and lifestyle by doing that, right? And I think that's a cool idea. Like because I'm a big advocate on people think differently in different environments.
Yes.
So if you have 10 people and you send them into a boardroom to solve a problem, you'll get one solution.
Yes.
You split them into 3 groups of 2 or 3, and you send them one to a library, one to a boardroom, one to a beach location, solve the problems, you'll have 3 solutions, if not more.
Yeah.
So if you suddenly have an artist in residence in your example, and I would send my team to solve a problem up there, how cool would it be? It's almost like back in the day when you'd be in a big conference and they want to break it up, everyone gets up and jumps. Yeah. Imagine if you break up a stale corporate conversation with everyone paint a bit.
I'm telling you, I think it would be.
And then come back and then we
go and take people out of the zone.
Yeah.
Recalibrate your mind. Even having the conversation with the artists and talking about what you're going through, they will give you a different perspective.
Yeah, and I think I love
a perspective that's not probably within the company, because they're not probably somebody that they wouldn't be hired, and they would. Sometimes there might be just a little. They might just give you a little
perspective,
or just something.
Angle.
Just sparks.
And then I really like the idea of, even if everyone squiggles, the artist, kind of like Mr. Squiggle, that show that we grew up. Half the people will get it, half won't.
Yeah.
It turns it into something, because then you're contributing into something. It's not just random squiggles.
Yeah.
It also reminds me of very random. I can't even remember the name of the pizza place, but as kids, they used to let you play with the dough.
Oh, yeah. They still do that.
Yeah.
And then they'd go and roast it, and you to take
stuff
it
like this.
Yeah.
It's like, I feel like, honestly, I'm almost 40. I just want to feel like a kid again whatever chance I get. I've got a newborn son. I'm tired as hell. I work hard. Even on parental leave, I'm still pretty much working. Just from home.
Yeah.
Give me chances to feel like a kid, like these little creative outlets. You know what I mean? I think that's.
But I couldn't agree more. Why do we, when you go into a certain, like, let's take the workplace.
Yeah.
Why does it suddenly we have to sort of put on a uniform? We have to, obviously, it doesn't matter if you should conduct yourself in a respectful way, regardless. So, But I think I've definitely seen, and people have started to, the way people dress and go to work has sort of changed a lot, which I think is great. I think that next step needs to come now. I think it's, and you know, I get it with, you've got to have, like, in the end, you have to have a desk and a chair to be able to sit down and do your work. There's key things that you need to be able to do work in business. But if you're in the office, if you're doing an 8-hour day, do you get 8 hours of solid productivity? Probably not. And you know, why do people work from home, or why do people choose this? Because they might go and do a block of work and then they can go and do a walk that they really like. They get to do something, blend an experience that they like, that makes them feel good. They come back and then they go again. And I think in the workplace, I think that if, whether it be business owners or building owners, have to start providing spaces or places that people can go and disconnect, and you shouldn't have to go all the way off site to do that. That can all be done. There can be a room. It doesn't need to be a massive space. Like we talk about a band room. A band room can be 25 square meters.
Yeah, I want
an art space could be, you know,
I want rooms like this in building. It's like I had to go book some random meeting room that wasn't set up for a media studio, rent all these lights and cameras, and like it was a bit of an exercise. I actually feel like corporate content creation is a thing, and it's going to continue, and it's tenant agnostic. It's like that kind of stuff should exist as well. You know, it makes so much sense to me, because like even when I was talking to Charlotte earlier, she was the buildings of the future that they're responsible for designing. It's all about functionality and helping facilitate lots of different styles of work and lifestyle. Because when you look at Gen Z and younger, when they look at work, it's like, it's not going to work, it's going to my day. I don't know, call it that, right? Because they want to pepper it with all sorts of experiences. And then even at the end of the day, they want maybe to change and go to an event, and it's like facilitating that whole thing. And I really feel like what you guys are doing makes total sense. Like here's one random thought for you, because I was talking to Charbel, who earlier, who's the head of UX UI. He's done a bunch of user interface and user experience work over his career. How cool would it be to like A/B test, like do lots of tests in a commercial real estate lobby, like a lounge area, like rather than just commit to a design and be like, oh, this is the area.
It's funny you said that. Like, and we were been in talks with a major building owner.
Oh, here we go. Okay. Without naming names, what's going on?
It was funny because it was a two-pronged thing. So they have a building and they're going to refurbish it and they need to release it. So we were looking at activating and doing activations within the lobby, and it was to serve as trial, because we sort of had a meeting with them because it's a great space, and we sort of approached them and said, look, we've got brands that would want to do stuff. And, you know, the conversation evolved, and what we've started to do is the individual brands that we work with, we've started to pull them in almost like as partners and come as a collective group. So whether it be artists, fashion, creative, all these groups. So we can bring them to a space if we need to. Anyway, so we were going to have artist activations going on. We were going to have, we had a chef, food activation, plus then we're going to dovetail in some lighting and sound, and so they could test basically activate some different ways.
That's so cool. I'm so glad.
And therefore they've already done this without going and spending the millions of dollars. And because we can all agree that there's plenty of buildings that get it right. There's plenty of buildings that just get it.
It's an afterthought. But what you're saying to me is so refreshing, because if there's intention behind the design and confidence that by working with a partner like you that can constantly fill it with the right brands, then it makes sense. If it's more, the reason why a lot of the lobby designs today exist the way they are, even though they're beautiful and there's a build it and they will come mentality and it's dead, is because they don't have access or the resources or the energy to tap into the other side of the marketplace to constantly bring in these experiences and brands all the time. Yes, they have activation budget, but not to the degree where you're bringing a community of people
that's effectively the gap that we're filling. So what's happened, because I understand, or we understand how to talk to a building owner, the building owners don't know how to speak to an artist, don't know how to speak to create. They communicate and they don't, like, we understand why the reluctance of a building owner.
Yeah.
Why they're in there, so why they wouldn't do something.
Yeah. Because without you, it would just be designed for an intention, but then just be.
Well, they have to deal with all the individual parties. So what happens with us? They come to us and they deal with one group. That's us.
Yeah.
And we take care of all this. We package it all up. We deliver it to them in a way that they can accept it.
You know what?
Here's the insurance. Here's this.
Yeah.
Here's the design. No, it doesn't need DA. We've already. These are the authorities, and we just present it to them in a way, and then we say, all you've got here is upside. You're going to have these amazing brands doing these amazing things, and it's going to look great for you.
You know what this reminds me of? Like 5-star restaurants, their menu constantly changes. It's seasonal.
Yes.
You're essentially providing seasonal experiences.
Well, we've seen these, we've seen chefs move from restaurants, you know, like, or they do a swap, you know, a well-known chef from a great restaurant. So there's a perfect experience. Like,
I would love it if I could go into my lobby at 180 George, because it's such a vast lobby.
Yeah.
Obviously, you know, that it's designed for a certain purpose.
Yeah.
We've got the Salesforce concierge.
Yes.
It would almost be like I don't know how often it's feasible, but it's like a bit of a flea market or something like that every other. Or even on weekends, turn it into like, oh, we've got creatives, we've got brands here. Come if you want to bring your family. Come.
Look, that is, you know, I sort of effectively wrote this white paper trying to sort of talk about that and say it is very possible.
Or give us the link and we'll put it in the
look, I mean, it's something that I kind of, it's probably, it's something I'm sort of trying to really focus it in. When I wrote it, I first wrote my first copy straight out of COVID.
Yeah, okay.
I just had this feeling that, like, I knew that everyone got so conditioned to stay home and to work from home, it was going to be really, really difficult to uncondition people and take people. But I just knew that there was such a push, whether there was going to be a lack of trust for a while, which there was, and then people are going to show that they don't need to do it. So, look, it's often just some really cool lighting, some great sound, and a bit of draping and a few bits and pieces can completely change the way a lobby or things. But again, you don't need to change the lobby. Change the experience that you have within the lobby. You go put a flea market, or you go put some music in there, or you go do something and let someone have a great experience. That changes your thought of that. So think about your best holiday locations. And you go back year on year, and because you've got these great experiences, like sort of saying your favorite restaurant. Some people go to the same one it's like they've just got this married on experience. The workplace can be the same. People just need to be given a reason to sort of engage and want to be there.
Well, if we're trying to borrow from the hotel world, what they've done, they've already mastered the check-in and the concierge experience. But when a guest has a great experience and wants to come back, they don't remember that necessarily. It's almost expected for that to be seamless. Yes. They remember the activations. They even remember the people they meet at the hotel.
Yes.
Because like there's been many examples where someone's gone to a 5-star hotel, met a lovely couple or met someone, especially from the older generation, and have then gone on a trip with them together or gone back to the hotel. So
or become friends, lifelong friends.
Exactly. So it's almost like we're trying to bring this back to community, culture, and how do you do that effectively, and what commercial real estate developers and owners need help on is that component. And it's not as simple as providing the best space for it to happen. You need to spend the time and the effort on that community element, the other side of the marketplace.
Maybe it's a matter of going as far just to stop calling it an office.
Maybe, I think so. I think
maybe.
What do we call it?
Rename.
Putting you on the
put me on the spot. But look,
I mean, they've been calling this as that.
You know what I mean? Like maybe it's as simple as because it's just an association. And look, it's because again, we've now learned you can work from anywhere.
Yeah.
So your work is probably in your laptop or your phone, or you know. I
mean, the hotels get it because they've coined the term bleisure a long time.
Bleisure, yeah,
business
absolutely,
bleisure.
yeah.
So it's almost like what's the office version of that?
Leisure.
Leisure.
Work leisure. No, I definitely think there's
Weisure.
I think it's just
That's what I'm going to call this podcast episode. Weisure.
We're starting to see like it's been really interesting. I remember we first started knocking on the big major, the trusts and the major property groups, and there was no way they would ever entertain the idea of anything happening in their lobby. They were like, no, this is the thoroughfare for the tenants, for the people within the building to be able to get there. We will not do anything to disturb that.
Yeah.
Now they're starting to loosen. We're starting to see more things happen.
Yeah.
I think they're still playing it a bit safe.
Yeah.
I think if they could surprise some of their tenants or with having something a little bit that, what you'd want to try and come up with is something that if you didn't go to the office that day, you probably would not have got to experience.
Yeah, you miss out on something.
And when you got that amount of people, it could be, look, there's probably a really great band right now. I mean, the music industry is under a lot of pressure. Like, musicians, like we've seen the closing down of festivals. We do a lot of stuff with the major musicians. We've done pop-ups for Dua Lipa, a whole bunch of other musicians, because those really successful musicians, they're taking ownership over their own brand. So the touring and the ticket sales are one thing, but they're all doing their own merchandise.
Right.
They're creating experiences. Yeah.
That could be
that also gives them social media, that content that they're building.
Right.
So, but they might be not at that level. There's really well-known musicians that a building owner could say, can you come and play? Can you come and do an hour and a half gig in the
those micro influencers.
That's right. And then like suddenly all the people come down and there's this like really quality music going on and they sit there. I mean, the other thing, I don't know if you've seen, it's becoming quite big, is cafes starting to almost become like dance parties, but there's no alcohol.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, interesting.
There's massive and again, things like that, like,
oh, wow.
I think it's sort of relaxing and realizing that the people that work in the buildings, like they do go to music festivals or they do go to, they're out at seeing big, they're out having a great time. I think it comes. And that's when they've got their uniform off. But if you could sort of bring that in a little bit, so you could plant and you provide a bit of an experience, even if it's for an hour in the middle of the day. And they go down, they're like, oh, wow, I got to see this while I was eating my lunch. I didn't expect it. You're going to tell 10 people. Yeah. They're going to be all over social media. Everyone's going to be like, best office ever.
When it comes down to the people, things like that happen.
Yeah.
Dan, we're going to have to wrap it up, but thanks so much for your time, mate. I think it was really interesting, and I hope to see some of your activations in my building soon.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks,
mate. Thanks for listening, everyone. See you later.